too. So
Yes. So the solution here is to interview more left-handed people.
or just flip it.
Yes. That's actually not a bad idea. All right. Welcome, Joey.
Hey, what's up, Rex?
How you doing, brother?
Chilling.
Welcome.
Good old Saturday, you know.
Oh yeah, it's really good. Just got back. Just finished at the gym. I'm feeling really sore right now.
You did the class. I bet you are. Jill usually
Joe's Saturday
kills you guys on Saturday. Yeah, I'm always like.
And I came in late, so I started it with 25 burpees.
Yep, that tends to be the run of course. Anyone that shows up late, which not gonna lie, I think 25 is kind of late.
Yeah.
I've always been saying that. I've been trying to push that more into Jill's mind, and I'm like, I don't know, man. I missed one day of fight camp at my old gym, and my coach looked at me and made me do 175 burpees before we.
Oh my God!
I sparred him.
I would never come late ever again. I'm not gonna lie.
No, I never. Some days I didn't show up. I skipped a day because I was just tired from work, and I'm like, I want to rest my body and my mind. Take care of myself. No. It was definitely not the day to do that. Yeah. And then to come in the next time, he's like, "Oh, Joe, you're gonna get it today." I did. Yeah. After the jump rope, he counted. It made no sense while he was counting the heads of the class. Like the math made no sense. He's just like, all right, 175 burpees, and then start shadowboxing. And then I see him gearing up, and I'm like, why is Marcus gearing up? Like, oh, and then I had to do 3 rounds of sparring with him right after that. And that was
Holy
pretty
crap.
fun. It wasn't fun.
Yeah. So none of that at Jill's classes.
I'm not trying to make it that extreme. What I'm just saying is maybe 50, maybe 75.
Not gonna lie, like I come late so often now that I actually prefer doing the burpees to the jump ropes.
Jump rope is kind of monotonous. You just standing there for.
Dude, I hate it half the time.
Rather jumping in one singular spot.
Half the time I'm whipping my legs, and sometimes it gets stuck and it whips me in the arm.
Dude, you never get used to that. I don't care. It doesn't matter. It still sucks if you whip your toe and it throws you off your game. You're like, ah.
I'm at the point where I'd rather come in late so I can do the 25 burpees.
It's like you get calisthenic body workout. You get it's a natural warm up.
Body movement,
and it's half the time of jump. It's a fraction of the time of jump rope, I would say.
Yeah, like I can do 25 burpees like so easily now. Like I don't even think about it.
That is why it should be up to at least 50.
So now we're gonna start the podcast.
Jill, listen, take notes on that.
Gotcha.
Make them do 50 burpees.
I think 50 would actually make me. Would make me more hesitant to be late.
That's not triple digits. Why are you stressing, dude? That's only 50. That's half of 100.
It's stressing because I've never done it before, and when you've never done something, it's still an enigma in your head.
You've done a burpee.
I've done 25 of them back. I've done 35 of them back to back. That was like my most. It was
You've done a burpee. You just got to do it 50 times now.
Because in CrossFit, like whenever someone's birthday, everyone just does as many burpees as that person's turning. So
for real?
Yeah.
They don't kick your legs like cool people.
No, we don't do shark tanks like in martial arts.
Like
we just
jiu-jitsu, like when you get a new belt and they just whip you down the line for no obscene reason.
Oh no,
culture.
Oh no, at my last gym, it's however old your turning is, how many minutes you spend on the mat with the entire gym, one after another.
I like that.
Which is
idea.
a lot of fun until you're like on the 15th minute and you're like.
It's okay.
Yeah.
20s? I could do 27 minutes.
Yeah, but when you're 34.
At that point, I'll be cycling on some good stuff. I'll be able to do some 34 minutes easily. Yeah. I'm on some TRT replay. I have some EPO like TJ Dillashaw in my system. I'll be able to go fucking 40 minutes, bro. Yeah. Don't worry.
Have you ever heard of Tonkat Ali or like Long Jack?
Who?
It's just like herb root that comes out of like I think Indonesia or Southeast Asia, that area, and it's like good for like it's not a testosterone replacement. It's not TRT, but it's just like a testosterone booster. Helps your body like process the testosterone better, and it's legal. I checked under the WADA rules and everything, so it's not a banned substance.
What about USADA?
I didn't check them.
Because we know those are the more important ones apparently to the UFC. Remember.
Gotcha.
WADA doesn't matter.
But yeah, something I've been taking it lately, and actually I feel a huge difference when I miss a day of taking it.
So you're telling me you take steroids?
Yes, but no, but yes.
I know you don't. Yeah, it's a natural route, yeah. How dare you, Rex? And you're not sharing?
Well, that's what this is for.
Insightful information.
We're going to get everybody from TNT walking around like extra jacked now because everyone's taking...
Just like coming in and like your first inclination is just to like do the biggest flex of your life. And then you start your workout.
Just explode out of your shirt.
And all of a sudden, all the fight team starts wearing a size or two too small, just for no reason other than to have it rip off when you flex.
Yeah, of course. I mean, I think every guy has had that fantasy at once in their life of being able to flex through a t-shirt.
So when I realized it doesn't work, I realized how dumb I looked when I tried that. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. I realized there's a reason why Hulk Hogan had cuts in his shirt before he pulled it off. It's like, oh, it makes it easier.
Yes.
Like, as soon as you cut the top, you can just rip your shirt like nothing. But it's like, stitching, strong.
Yeah, I definitely had that phase where I was trying to rip it, and when there wasn't a pre-cut rip, and I was like, why is this so hard?
Yeah.
And then I thought, wow, Hulk Hogan must be so strong, which he is.
Sure.
But
however, he did definitely have his shirt pre-cut before he ripped it off.
Yes, pre-stitched.
Probably that's a better way to look
Yes.
at it. Yeah, pre-stitched.
Yeah. All right. So you want to fight Nate Diaz?
Do I? I want to box him.
You want to box Nate Diaz?
I think it would be fun. Why not?
I mean, I'll box Nate Diaz.
Why shouldn't I?
It'd be a lot of fun. Would he do boxing?
Sure.
Because I know that Jake Paul's called him out before.
I mean, that's his primary source of striking when it comes to training for his MMA fights. He does boxing with whoever that older, weird-looking. What's his name? Do you know? You know the guy I'm talking about, right? The shorter.
Freddie Roach?
No, the one that works with the Diaz brothers. Not Freddie.
I don't really know.
I can't remember his name, but he had like the duct tape focus mitts. They looked like gloves. It had he had like a glove, and it had like a mitt right here, and they're like taped. You can hold pads for them, and then he actually got like legit pads later on. But
that's kind of hardcore. Not gonna lie.
Yeah, that's how I remember him. And there's videos of them just training in his garage. Right, he has one of those old school style like boxing garages with all the papers and stuff on the walls of the fight promotions, and then just have maybe one bag, and he's just doing work with them. I have to remember his name, but I don't know. Think about it, it'd be fun to box a UFC fighter. Why not? Or just anyone at a high skill level.
Oh, absolutely.
That's something that's a challenge, right? Which is I think the primary goal when it comes to fighting. You're always trying to find the next big challenge, whether it's too much for you to do and you have to get humbled, or it's something that's going to really test your skills and you kind of evolve within the fight itself. Those I feel like what we strive for as fighters. As you get more fights on your record, you don't necessarily just want to take the pick-me-up fight where the guy has a 2-4 or 2-6 record, and you're just like, oh, I'll just take this to take this. No, me personally, I kind of want every other next fight to be like, all right, I'm fighting a guy who's now undefeated, or I'm fighting a guy who's got 15 fights or 20 fights, or fought over international at some point, or been to Thailand already. Those are the next steps that I want. It doesn't have to necessarily be a title fight, but just competition. Someone that's going to push me.
I mean, there are some people who have purposely padded records where they're fighting they go 30-0, 40-0, 50-0. But if you look at the people they're fighting like bums. Yeah,
it could be even Nurmagomedov. You look at the first X amount of his fights. Who is he fighting?
Well,
tell me who they are and their names.
Yeah, about that.
Exactly.
Well,
it's not a bad thing.
Well, eventually he fought. Obviously, the big one, Conor. He fought Dustin. He fought Chandler.
Before that, Rafael dos Anjos.
Okay.
Cleaned him. Yeah. Dominated him. That's so. I want to say it's a negative thing.
Rafael's not exactly a bum.
That's what I'm saying. He's not a bum, but he fought him before he fought all those guys. Prior to his UFC career, who the heck was could be fighting? You couldn't tell me any of their names.
No, I can't.
You couldn't tell me any of their accolades. Yeah. Probably got none.
Yeah. But even towards the end though, he didn't just beat Chandler. He dominated.
Not just beat. It was literally wiped the floor. Oh, I'm gonna mercifully choke you out instead of snapping your arm.
Yeah. Which he even said,
by choice, is I'm going to do this because you're my friend.
He said, I like you, so I'm going to beat you in a less embarrassing way.
Literally. So I'm not
badass.
Using that to take away from his greatness. That's definitely the modern day GOAT under GSP of MMA is Khabib Nurmagomedov. I mean, the guy wrote the playbook of how to get comfortable under a lot of fights, and then knowing that you're good enough to take the right competitive fights at the right moment, right? And then get out while you can.
Is that what Sean O'Malley's doing?
Oh, we don't have to talk about Sean O'Malley, man.
Oh.
We don't have to talk about it until once he gets clipped again, he'll get clipped again.
Okay.
Why are people forgetting about when he fought Chito? Chito had him like this on the ground, looking like, where am I? Where's my life? I don't know. Oh, fuck. It must have been the weed I was smoking. I'm like, yeah, Sean O'Malley. He got what his first. Did he fight anyone after that? Who did he fight after that?
Actually, I barely remember the names of the people he's fought.
Exactly.
I remember what they look like.
The first actual name he was given, he got TKO'd.
Mm-hmm.
So I expect that every time he's given a top 5 name, maybe even top 10.
So
that bantamweight division is freaking scary.
Oh hell yeah!
Look at it. I wouldn't want to fight bantamweight 35 as an MMA guy. Forget about it, dude. Even on the smaller, right? Which I wouldn't even want to say that to Bellator 1 or PFL, but the other promotions, it's like, even look at their bantamweights.
Yeah, look, ONE FC is bantamweight. It's hella scary.
It's got DJ.
Yeah,
it's got the greatest bantamweight of all time.
Yeah, you got Ra Tang.
Now it does, yeah. He's
going to MMA now.
He's officially transferring. Yeah, I forgot he posted that. I'm like, all right.
Got choked out once, realized, all right.
It's like, that's not that bad. Yeah. I can do this.
Yeah, yeah. Because when you get KO'd, it's like, last time when I got KO'd, it was actually a street fight. It was bad. Dude, I just woke up like I didn't know what the heck happened. I was just on the floor, and I'm like, why am I on the floor, and why am I covered in his blood? And like, dude, that's not his blood, that's yours. I was like, oh.
That's my blood.
Yeah.
It's my blood.
Dude, it was bad. Like my whole left side was like swollen, like huge.
I sucker punched or something.
I got sucker punched really hard. It was at an arcade.
What?
Yeah.
Who would do such a thing at an arcade? That's supposed to be like neutral ground.
Where
fun happens.
This was Jersey City. So
I don't know about those parts.
Let's put it this way. What's the worst part of Tampa?
Whoa, don't act like Jersey City's hard. Calm down.
Actually, Jersey City's pretty hard.
I mean, it's rough, but I wouldn't call it hard. I think there's way harder parts on this planet than any hard part of America.
Okay, well, in America's standpoint, so the history of Jersey City.
So the privilege of America, right? When we have to go like, yeah, man, freaking Compton, and I'm like, oh yeah, Yemen,
Honduras,
Nicaragua. I'm like, okay, we can keep going, like. Woo.
Yeah,
but you know, it is definitely a area I'm assuming you probably don't want to go to.
Not at night. So the history of Jersey City is, as New York City was like in the 70s, 80s, and 90s was like really bad. Giuliani started cleaning it up, and the entire city was like getting gentrified. All those people who couldn't afford to live there anymore moved to 3 places: Hoboken, Newark, and Jersey City.
I was going to say that's what made it happen.
Yeah, because it's still in the New York City tri-state area, but it's not New York City, so it's cheaper. But so yeah, and all the bad people settled in those areas, and that's where I hung out a lot in high school.
Nice.
No, it wasn't.
I know.
Did you not hear what happened?
I did hear what happened. That's not a nice. Yeah, it doesn't sound like a nice story.
So
you get sucker punched, and you're like, all this red stuff. Oh fuck! Oh, it's mine. Oh.
Yes.
Your nose broken?
No, it wasn't. I just
swollen.
It was just swollen over here because they clipped me right in the jaw.
Oh, okay. At least it wasn't. It could have been worse.
It was one of those like they from what I've heard, like they just swung from like around town and just went.
They just went for it.
Yeah.
I hope this lands.
and I ended up inside of a vending machine.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, that's a lot of force.
It hurt a lot.
Oh, yeah, but if you fly into a vending machine.
It was like a slow falling movement. Mm-hmm. I distinctly remember falling down for like 5 minutes straight, even though it was like a split second fall.
Yeah.
And then I was like,
you're just like going forever, like. Oh.
Yeah, and then like my right arm was like just like broke the glass of a vending machine.
Okay.
So yeah, and I got up. I was like, shit.
Dude, that does not sound like a fun time.
Oh no, not at all. And I'll be honest.
The arcades here that I've been to and experienced all throughout Florida, you don't really get that. You might get some kid who tries to fight you. That's about it.
Oh, no, that's normal. No, I got a kid who successfully fought me.
That's normal. It doesn't sound like you fought. It sounded like he jumped you. It sounded like you got jumped, which is not commendable at all. I think it's very cowardice if you jump people.
It was extremely cowardice because after he sucker punched me, him and his 2 friends, they all booked it out of there. Because all my friends chased them out of there. They punched and like ran and fought. So
100%.
They just ran, which is a huge reason why like I got into martial arts, because I'm like, I don't want that to ever happen to me ever again.
Right, which is a very viable thing you don't want to have happen to you.
Yeah.
And one thing is definitely trying to prevent that is learning how to avoid it, which I think martial arts does a good job of putting that premise up first. The concept of like you stop having the urge to want to fight, the more you train and the more you want to de-escalate things from the start as opposed to just getting yourself into the fray and trying to prove something.
Yeah.
Which I feel like if you don't train, that's all your mind is, especially if you go out and you add alcohol to the situation. Guys just want to put themselves on a pedestal or impress their girlfriend or their buddies.
Which is funny because the girlfriends actually hate when their boyfriends start fights.
It's always the end game, right? What always happens, man, she's always mad at you, right?
Yeah.
If you always try to start something with some other dude, the ones that are usually going to be upset about you is the girl. And you're thinking, oh, man, I'm going to fucking look so badass when I do this. It's like, no, you're not, dude. You're going to look like a fool to everybody.
It's kind of like when guys go to the gym to start lifting weights to try to impress girls. What really ends up happening is they just impress other guys.
Yeah, and right? It's like you become a gym bro and your tendencies is like you have another guy come up to you to adjust your form and you're like, no, this is not what this is not what's supposed to happen. No. Crap, no. Hey, no, bro, like, no, let me get a picture of you while you do that curl. It's like, all right, no, I can see. Oh, if you do that with a little heavier weight, I can see your vein, bro, right there. And it's like interesting how that turns out, right? It's like you kind of want, your goal is like, no, I want to impress the cute chick over there in the squat rack. Why is she not paying attention? What's going on? I can imagine. Oh, that's why I don't go to those gyms. Yeah. I'm comfortable in my Muay Thai gym.
Yeah. How did you end up at Tampa Muay Thai? I think we covered this like last time, like barely, but it was like very much more informal of an interview.
I would say it was. Yeah. No, I mean, I moved here from where I was living in Fort Lauderdale, right? That was kind of like coming home from a day from work one day, and my brother recently graduated from college, so he was living back at home. I'm recently, about a year after I came back from living in Jacksonville, because I was just, spent up there. I wasn't really trying to continue living in Jacksonville, so I moved back home. And I was working at a coffee shop, training full-time at Heinz Muay Thai, and one day, literally on a Sunday, came home from work. My mom was just sitting there on the couch with my brother, and she's like, hey, how do you feel about moving back where you were born? Which is, I was born over here in the Tampa Bay, St. Pete area. And I'm just like, sure. Wasn't really any rhyme or reason for it. I had nothing binding me to, I mean, of course, the gym and the people there, my coaches, but, I wasn't really getting fights. I wasn't really making any increase in wages at my job, or nothing was happening there. And I always had the plan of, my end game is to own a gym / coffee shop, whether they're together or separate.
Really?
Yeah.
That's really cool.
So really that's what made school monotonous for me. And I'm just like, I'm wasting my time doing this because I don't need this to run a business. I need to put all my assets in learning the crafts themselves,
Yeah.
all my focus in mastering them, and like also the back end, how to run the business. So that's where I was just kind of like, I wasn't stressed about where my life was going. I was just in that phase of like, building up savings, learning how to run a business from working at businesses, and also listening to people talk about how they run their own businesses, and just jotting down notes and writing up my own business plans, and just preparing, for when I actually can follow through with these. And yeah, she's like, yo, let's move back where you guys were born. I'm like, sure, let's go back to St. Pete area. And then from there, I already knew Brandon Waters, who was, I met him in Jacksonville at Jack's Muay Thai. And instantly I'm like, hey bro, I'm moving to Tampa, so I'm gonna be training with you again. Like, what's up? I would come by to the gym on like a Saturday. He wasn't there that day. He was recovering from his fight, or he's working or something. So I popped in on a Saturday, and that's when at the desk I met Jill and Anson, and I'm like, yeah, yo, Brandon, I'm here just to try out the gym, probably going to sign up, but, I know you guys do the trial classes and all that, so did literally like everyone else, did the trial class, was peeping over at the ring, and I saw that a few of them, I think it was Damien, two other guys, Q, who's this guy from Laos who trains with us, really good Muay Thai, really good
short
clinch.
guy, chunky dude,
a little chunky, a little shorter.
Oh, that guy's awesome,
and he's hilarious. Hilarious. And then this other guy, Rick, and I'm like peeking, and I'm like, oh,
big Rick,
yeah, like jacked, right? Yeah, jacked guy. I'm like, they're clinching in the ring, and I'm like, fuck, I know I'm new here, but I'm not new to Muay Thai. I've been doing it since I was 16, so I'm just like, all right, finish the class. Screw it. I bolted it to the ring, and I'm like, hey, you cool if I clinch with you guys? And he started clinching all.
They didn't even know you from a hole in the wall.
No, but they were okay with it. and I clinched all of them.
But you figure a guy running up to you, he's like, hey, can I clinch with you guys? Either knows what he's doing or is about to get humbled.
One or the other, yeah. And it's like, I really just wanted to get some rounds in. Like, I'm just like, I need to start. Like, I need to get back on the horse. Like, I wasn't too far away from not training. Like, I wasn't like on a month break. It was just like a week of moving, right? Mm-hmm. So kind of haven't been at the gym, but, still in shape. And I really just wanted rounds. So then that happened, and then from that juncture, I started taking like the classes at 5 and 6 p.m. And then started doing what I suggest to every single person that passed their level 1 test, and I stuck around and chilled so that I can get plopped into maybe some sparring drills. And then I think it was literally that next Friday, I'm doing, or maybe the week after, on a Friday, starting up for the normal class, right? And then Brandon's like walking by me. Brandon looks at me and he's like, Joey, what are you doing over here? Come meet Dato and come with the fight team, like instantly. He's like, get on you're supposed to be training with the fight team. Like, what are you doing over here, dude? And like, I'm just doing the natural, thing you're supposed to do as a new person in a new gym is you
respect the rules.
You respect the gym, and you come and show up to class, do the class, and you wait for the coaches to see your skill set, and then you go, oh yeah, I've been training since this, and they're like, well yeah, let's have you take the test, or let's put you on the fight. They then hyper accelerate your motions in the gym. Mm-hmm. But you never want to be that guy who comes in and be like, yeah, what's up, I have like 13 fights, I have a belt for this gym, and I need to get my next fight in, can I start training with you guys? Mm-hmm. That level of ego is it's really like, it's how do I word this, like, it's just off-putting, and especially in like a Muay Thai gym, something that's really more embedded in like the culture of the sport, not so much the actual like competition side of it, of like you have to respect it first before you compete. You see that, it's kind of like, it's weird, we're not used, we don't like it, Yeah. We like the more humble approach where, you are the fly on the wall until you're not, until they realize you have X amount of information and technique yourself.
Which is why Dada will fail you immediately if you get the white crew wrong. Exactly,
because he holds true to the culture. It's not a religious thing, it's a cultural thing. Mm-hmm. And I feel like that's something that everyone can respect, And yeah, from the start, that's how I was approaching it. Like I said, he came up to me, he literally pulls me over to Dato and he said, oh, hey, what's up, All jovial, how Dato is, cracks one joke, right, about it. And they said, okay, we'll get you a partner up. And you want to take a wild guess who my first partner was?
Alex?
Nope.
Jason?
No, think of current.
Kai?
Yes.
I mean, any of those three would.
No, any of those is like horrible. But like the fact that and this was he was just finished his last like fight. Like he just got off his last fight.
Oh, so he's on.
He was fresh too. Like, and he was on it.
He just finished a fight camp, so he's like.
Yeah, so he had the same speed, right? And then I shit you not, dude. With this span of 30 seconds, right? Just basic jab cross through a nice switch kick to his body, right? Mm-hmm. I'm like, oh, this is gonna land. Like, cool. He catches it, boop, sweeps me in like half a second. I'm like, what the hell? Again.
Did you know who he was at that time?
Like, yes and no.
Okay.
Like, I knew he was one of the better fighters instantly, just like how he carried himself at the gym. But no, I had no idea who Kai was as far as like, 3 national titles, 15 or 14 and 2. Like the only reason he lost was because he got dumped on his head, and that's like illegal. It was technically an illegal takedown, but he got dumped on his head, so it counts as a TKO, right? So mind you, like this guy doesn't lose, and he's he is our best fighter, 100%. He should have been pro X amount of years ago at this point, right? So
he's coming out here next week, by the way.
Oh, you're doing him next?
Yeah.
Hey, let's get it. Rex's fight, or what would you call it? Rex martial arts. Something.
I have another channel that I don't really promote. It's called Rex Trains Martial Arts.
I don't know what to talk about this. It's okay.
No, that's just an archive, but not chasing excellence, because that's all I'm doing with this podcast.
It does sound like it does. I think that is definitely a fitting title for these, chasing excellence. Mm-hmm. It's perfect because we're all kind of doing that on our own levels.
Yeah, at least we should be.
100%. But yeah, needless to say, 30 seconds, right?
Yeah.
Span. So get back up. Maybe even less than 30 seconds. I'm probably trying to be nice to myself, right? Get back up. I'm like, okay. what are you doing, Joey? You can do this. You can land it. Boom, boom. Switch kick in. Boom, catches it. Dumps me right again. The same catch, the same sweep. And I'm just like, okay. It was a good okay. Like, I smiled. And I'm like, hey, yes, I'm at the perfect gym. Because you never want to be the best fighter in your gym. I mean, you can get to that point. But, like for me, that's always been my mindset. Like, I don't want to be the guy who's, like, the creme de la creme where my rounds are me just beating on everybody else, you know? Mm-hmm. That's horrible. There should always be people better than you at the gym you train at. Mm-hmm. And that's Kai. It was Brandon when he was there. It's Chris, right? And Chris has the size. Mm-hmm. It's all those dudes, right? It's Pablo, it's Oscar. You know, these are the guys, when I started finding out who they were, I'm like, they're 100% going to make me better. And I will take these hard rounds no matter how my body feels afterwards, because it'll show later on.
100%.
I think it has. I don't want to brag, but I think it has shown.
And you had a title. You held a title for a little while, right? For Lilio Code?
What? No, that was thank you, dude. I didn't have a title. That was my first title fight.
Oh, that was your first title fight.
Yeah. Okay. That was my first time doing 5 rounds.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, I've never won a title in Muay Thai yet.
Yeah.
Gonna win one soon. I'm banking on it. I feel upset. I was like, Dato. I was gonna win Dato a belt, and I didn't.
You were close though, because I was watching the fight like early just to prepare for this, and because I knew we were eventually gonna talk about it.
Right. We'll transition into it.
Yeah, you were wrecking that kid pretty hard. Like he came straight down the center at you every single time, and you just backed up and countered him very well, dumped him a few times. It was just that one elbow that just changed everything. So.
It kind of was the course of the fight, yeah. Right. And it didn't. I would even argue it didn't change the whole fight itself, because that 4th round, I was still winning again. Like, I was scoring more than him. I was backing him up. I think I swept him again in the 4th round.
You did.
And then he dropped me the 2nd time, and then that's what happens, man. You're not breathing. Everything goes to crap. You know, it's not even like. And this is the one thing that I take a little bit personally. I don't think it was my cardio entirely, because I always bank on having really good cardio even when I'm training at the gym. Even in my last fight, I was like phenomenally like in shape where I finished, and I had so much energy afterwards. And sure, that could be the difference in 3 to 5 rounds. You can probably throw that into the group of variables. But I really do think it was at some juncture, probably around when that elbow landed, where I just got into the emotional side of the fight, and I literally just stopped breathing, and got on the stool after that, and like I'm looking like past Dato. Like, I see my fucking opponent, and I'm just
he's over there, he's jumping up and down.
Well, he was sitting down, but I was like looking at him, and I'm just like, I just want to hit him really hard in the face, and he knocked me down. I want to knock him down. I want to knock him down again. It's my turn. It's my turn. Like. And then Dato's trying to like give me instructions, and I'm literally like, fuck this guy, coming after you. Like, I was so in the emotional side of the fight at that juncture.
It showed too. It really showed.
Yeah.
In the 4th round, you moved way differently than the first 3.
It was kind of like trying to put him away.
Yeah.
And you can't really force that, you know? It shows that you can't force it, because usually if you do start forcing it, then you start making another kinetic ball of mistakes thereafter. When you try to force a finish, it's like, oh, my hands might be dropping now, or I'm exiting the clinch with my hands down.
Which is exactly what happened.
Which is how the fight ended, exactly. I was coming out with my hands down by my waist, and boom, got popped with an overhand right. And yeah, I got back up, but I didn't respond to the ref in time, and therefore he called it. So, you know, it wasn't like I was out. It wasn't like I wasn't willing to continue fighting. And just at that juncture in time, I didn't respond the proper way I should have, and thus the fight got called. And oh boy, I was upset. Oh boy, I was upset. I take that shit personally to myself, you know, and I take it to heart. It's because it's something that I hold true to myself, and I didn't want something like a grand mistake. That's something that I preach a lot to people, whereas, you know, you don't want to get emotional in there. And it's like when you make that crucial mistake that you're kind of telling everyone not to do, you're like, wow, I'm a freaking idiot.
It happens to everyone, man. Like, I mean, like, fighting is a very emotional activity to do, you know. I mean, like, we could sit here and talk about its logic and everything, but, like, it takes that when that one little thing happens that just triggers your emotions, and you already have adrenaline pumping through your body. Like,
it's a big one.
You go from 0 to 100 really fast before you even know. It's like when you watch, like, you know, like when you see like those footages of people when just light sparring goes out of control.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like
100%.
Yeah, like the famous one when Vanderlei Silva was just doing the light sparring, and then he ends up just taking the guy to the ground, starts ground and pounding him because the other guy tried to land an axe kick on him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't hit the axe murder with an axe kick and not get away with it, right?
Exactly. You know, so like
that is
it's
one of
tough though, you know. So if a fighter gets emotional, like I don't hold it against them at all.
No, sure, and I mean, yeah, like I said, it's not something I should hold my head down on, but I do because, like, you know, I'm in a position where I'm an instructor at a gym now. I'm at the point where I have people on the fight team that now they randomly ask me questions and I guess look up to me. I've had now, not a lot, but like I would say 3 different people that have now said that they're the reason they do Muay Thai is because of me. And
wow.
I'm like, that weirds me out because I've never considered myself a person of like you know, I guess, how to word this, like a figure to look up to, you know? I've never seen myself in those shoes, right? Where I'm like setting a standard for someone else to look at and follow suit to make sure they do the right thing. And I've always just like, oh yeah, I'm a freaking kid who does Muay Thai. I like my weed. I like my video games. You know, I freaking work coffee shops just to make, you know, ends meet to help supplement my gym stuff. You know, and let me go to sleep. Don't bother me. You know, that's always been my personality. You know, I've always been like never really the person up front. You know, in front of the camera trying to get everyone's attention. I don't really like that. I kind of just like to be by myself most of the time. It's really have been the combo of like working in service and then having to then subsequently teach people martial arts where I'm being forced out of that shell and having to require more like social abilities, you know, and really be more comfortable talking in front of groups of people, which again, I don't really like. All right, I know it sounds weird to fight in front of people, but that part doesn't weird me out because I'm already in my own head at that point. I'm at tunnel vision. I see my opponent. I see my coaches. Like, I hear you guys. Don't get me wrong. Don't feel offended. I hear everybody there. It's just it's not in my mind. I'm not focused on like, oh, these people are watching. What do I do? Like, oh, let me do something cool. Like, I don't feel the stress and panic in that situation. I never did when I played soccer, but that's because it's that tunnel vision thing. I'm ignoring everything, right? I'm just kind of see in the moment, and I think fighting's perfect for that. If you have that right mindset, you're literally in like the purest form of in the moment as you can be. But it's definitely forced me out of that awkward, shy shell that I had when I was like in high school. Definitely was a different Joey, if you will, if you want to say that, than how you know me, Rex. You know, you probably are like looking at me like, what do you mean you're a shy, awkward turtle in the corner? It's like, you're not. And I'm like, yeah, well, I'm not now. It took a little bit of time for me to kind of, and I'm still working on it, you know, I'm still working on it, but it took me a lot of time to get to where I'm able to like feel comfortable talking in front of a group of people who are looking at me for instruction, like, oh, what do we do next? I'm like, I don't know.
Now you're running around to everyone as they're doing crunches and you're stomping them in the stomach while they're doing
that's
sit-ups.
Fun.
No, it's not.
It's fun for me.
It is not fun when Joey runs over to you and he starts hammering you in the stomach.
Conditioning your abs.
Actually, it is kind of funny. It is kind of fun, actually. Even when you do it to me, I have to laugh at it.
Condition the abs, and it makes everyone have a good time. Yeah. You know, everyone's not stressed about it. It's, you know, just trying to make sure people are happy. You know. Yeah. I think that's my main goal.
Yeah. I would say you definitely have a huge influence at TMT, like whether you're aware of it or not. And I know you said 3 people have said that to you, but I mean, I'll be the 4th one. Like to say, like you definitely have made TMT much more homey, much more family, and I appreciate it so much.
I appreciate you saying that, man. It's definitely got a lot that I have to get used to hearing that from people. I've never seen myself in that light, so this is a transition for me too, being like, oh. People are, you know, looking at me for advice and stuff, and like actually like taking it, you know, and like doing something with it, you know, versus just like your friend hearing you be like, hey man, like she's not worth it, don't worry, like, you know, trying to give your friend a pep talk because he got broken up with, they're not gonna listen to you. Yeah. But like seeing that difference and like people that are actually like attentive on what you have to say, you know, that's I think new to me.
Well, I think the difference is because what when you and your homie are going through a tough time, and your homies, because your homie just broke up with a girl or whatever, like, and they're listening to you, but they don't really put a lot of stock into what you say because they view you as equals, as their homie. Whereas like you, like we know, like you've been through a lot of fight. You've been through the weeds. Like you know what it is. Like there's things that you will never ever know about a fight until you've been into a fight. Like you don't know how it feels to get punched in the face. You don't know how it feels to, because you can spar all you want.
Punch in the face as hard as someone wants to. Like
Yes.
they're trying to kill you. That's like, that puts you in a different mindset for sure.
Like sparring is one thing, because especially in Muay Thai where because Muay Thai sparring is traditionally lighter sparring, not like Dutch kickboxing.
Is it though? I would like to get into this conversation.
I don't know. Well, I can only judge what
you
I've
ever
seen.
talk to a Thai fighter in their 40s? Because they can't really talk that well.
Well,
I don't think that comes from...
Well, Thai fighters in their 40s, they're like 300 actual fights in.
Sure, but they also spar hard too, man. Like I think we need to start like getting rid of that facade that people think Thais play when they spar. It's like, sure, they do, but they also spar hard. Like when they clinch each other, they are kneeing the crap out of each other. It's not just like, let me knee you with my thigh like we do here. It's like, no, they're doing straight dagger knees to your gut when you're clinching over there. They don't care. They're prepping you for a fight, right? So yeah, we're being a little nicer here, but if you watch clinching videos in Thailand, yeah, they're doing the circle, but they're also, if they get a good position, they're throwing a dead, spear knee straight to your gut.
They're doing Dylan type knees to your ribs.
Yeah, like it's not necessarily like they're trying to like break your bones or anything, but you're clinching, you're sparring, like that's like, you hear some people change like what was it, Tony Ferguson saying he hasn't sparred in like how long because of like he's like trying to protect his body or whatever, and I'm just like, yeah, I mean, because sparring is fighting. It's going to deteriorate your body just like a fight does.
Yeah. But
that's the reason you're doing it. I'm not trying to like advocate for hard sparring. Like, don't get me wrong, I don't want that to be the message here. Yeah. But it's not a bad thing if you do end up going hard sometimes. Right? If that makes sense. It's not something that you should thrive for, right? Because your longevity will be a lot shorter in the fight career, right? You have that risk of injuring yourself more for sure. But no, I definitely do still also side with that at some juncture during your fight camp, you need to feel the fight. You're not going to get that if you're going 50%, right? You
need to feel the pressure.
Yeah, feel the pressure. There's ways to do it maybe, right, where you're not hard sparring all the time, but I still feel like maybe like once or twice a fight camp, where you really have to like not like bite down on your mouthpiece and start wailing at your friend, but like where you're in the fray, you're tired, those body shots actually hurt, right? You have to actually cover your head because, these punches have some intention behind them, just so you can feel and react properly. Because what if you're operating on 50%, but then you go, or 50% speed, and then you go to the fight, and then the speed has now gone up to 100%, and you may not be used to that, or you can't make the translation. So like, how do you make the translation? And unfortunately, you give them practicality, which is a hard sparring round. Again, not advocating for it, but I do still think it holds its purpose in the fight game.
So where does that reputation come from then, where people say like Thais don't spar hard versus Dutch kickboxers? Because Dutch kickboxers are known for like taking each other's heads off. At least that's the reputation. I don't know if that's true or not.
Reputation. That's 100% true with Dutch sparring.
And then the reputation that Thais have is, like you said, people say, they play spar.
Well, what's also the stereotype of the land of Thailand? It's called
the land of happiness,
or the land of smiles, right? But is it the land of happiness? Do we know all the other sketchy stuff that goes on in that corner of the world? Do we know how their prisons operate? Like, they have a system to where you can take Thai fights to become, to gain your freedom from jail over in Thailand. Yeah, there's a whole system over there like that to where there's Chase, if you want to talk to him, he fought a kid that was in that little program where he was fighting to gain his freedom, and Chase knocked him out. So he's on back jail. But that is a legitimate thing in the land of smiles, to where you are you're in a horrible prison setting, right?
The prisons are way worse than anything we got going on here.
It's just, you can't fathom how worse it is than how we have here. On top of it, they if you want to go free earlier, you can take this fight with this maybe badass world champion or this tourist from America or is Europe who just wants to take a Thai fight, something like that, and they'll set it up to where you're fighting this prisoner who's trying to literally they're fighting for their freedom in the land of smiles. So yes, I do think there's a lot that is misconstrued by Thailand because of certain things, and it's definitely, you do see it in some of their sparring. Because I can't show you now, but I can show you videos of certain gyms that I would love to train at in Thailand, but I do know the reason I want to train there is because they go hard. Not all the time, but they have their sessions where they're going hard, right? And they really have good training styles to where they're not necessarily just doing the old, like, all right, let's put this Westerner on a bag and maybe give him some rounds for the 10,000 baht that he pays for these 2 weeks, right? Like, no, there's legit gyms out there that you have to go to and find that are a little bit, not as prestigious as the tourist gyms, but they give you the good work.
That's the ones that you want to go to.
Yeah. Well, kind of like how you walk into TMT and how it looks. It looks like one of those old style boxing gyms, right? Where it has that like old building type of feel to it, right?
I love TMT. When I walked in and Anson kicked the crap out of me during my intro class.
And that's what I'm saying. Your coaches aren't giving you some BS.
Yeah.
They're showing you that this is for real. This is not like we're going to baby you into this. No, you first class and you're being demoed and it's a leg kick demonstration. You're taking that leg kick. Yeah. Jason, you're holding pads for Jason's demo. You're going to feel that in your soul, your forearms, and everything else in between for like the next 3 days. Because
he doesn't care if you're smaller than him.
Yeah, he doesn't. Yeah, because Muay Thai is not about that. Muay Thai is about way more than just that, and that's where I get into the issue of trying to play off that the Thais only play spar. It's like they probably play spar more than most people do, right? When you compare them to the Dutch, I would say 100%. If you compare them to like us or the English fighters, for sure, they probably do way more play sparring. But that goes into, think of the frequency they're fighting versus us. All has to like play factors into that.
Those guys are doing like 5 fights a weekend sometimes.
I would say if it's a tournament, they're fighting. Let's say they have a fight on Saturday. Let's say they have a fight on Sunday and they knock the guy out. They might have a fight on Thursday, right? That's 3.5-4 days later, So that makes sense maybe that the frequency of hard sparring might not be there. But are they still hard sparring? 100%. 100%.
That makes sense. Because I always wonder, like, how is it that they're able to execute fights the way they do if all they're doing is light sparring? And I think that was very eye-opening. Yeah,
I think it's the perspective thing. It's like, they are more so than everyone else because they understand. It could even be maybe not an understanding of what sparring does to you, but just because their fight agenda, their fight schedule, they're fighting every other week or every 2 weeks, that's you're sparring, right? So why would you need to hard spar if you're fighting every 2 weeks? So I don't think it's looked at as of from their perspective. I don't think it's like we're taking care of our brains and our health. I think it's more so we literally don't have the time. So why should we do this if we're fighting every 2 weeks or every 4 or 5 days? Versus us and in Europe, they're not fighting every other week.
No, we're fighting every 2, 3, 4 months.
Yeah, we're lucky. Dude, I was lucky when I got that fight in October. What was it, October 30th? And I was lucky to fight December 14th, 16th after that. That was like the shortest time frame I've had in between fights ever. And I'm like, oh, this is great. Like, I felt fresh. I felt so fresh going into that next fight camp, like right after. I had a few like sore days after the fight in October, but from when it was from October 30th, ended that camp, right? Rolled right into the camp for the December card because it was 6 or 8 weeks away. So I was like, this is perfect. And I felt really good after that. Second fight, however, my body definitely felt it. I definitely needed like a solid 2 more weeks to recuperate.
Gotcha. So when are you going to Thailand?
I wish. You want to start a GoFundMe with the gym and send me over there?
How did Lael and Jill do it then? I'm just wondering. I'm not trying to throw shade at you.
I would ask them.
Yeah.
I forget how. I think Jill did it for teaching. I don't know. You have to ask her.
Okay.
I forget how she went over there. Same with Lael. I have no idea.
Yeah. I had a chance to ask her. I didn't.
Yeah. I also don't know their financial situations. I am poor. I didn't know if you knew this. Contrary to what you think that normal white people get, I don't have a connection to a bank account. I wish I did. Oh man, I wish I did. I would have been in Thailand already. Yeah. But I don't.
You mean fighters don't actually make a whole lot of money?
Oh wait, what? Nah, I mean amateurs. We make nothing.
No, not only are you not getting paid to fight, you're paying money to fight.
Exactly. Some individual, like, think about that. Like, if you do a tournament, you gotta pay to get into the tournament to maybe win, to not win a prize, money.
Yeah.
You might get some cool shorts.
Shorts
and a belt or a trophy
and cool photography.
Some nice pictures. They get some good pictures at USA Muay Thai for sure. But am I getting some? Are they getting paid for that? Hell no.
Lelio Code isn't paying you,
bro. It's an amateur promotion. Of course not. If anything, they need to do better with their weigh-ins. Oh my god, man! Like the fact that I had to wait almost an hour and a half just to like rehydrate and weigh in. I'm like, bro, this is stupid. This is why I don't want to fight in Florida anymore. Half the reason, because commission here sucks. They don't take care of their fighters. Explain. And the promoters don't either.
What do you mean, like?
Okay, so for this example, this last fight, right? We got to the weigh-ins, all right? Mind you, obviously, everyone's dehydrated. Everyone's hungry. Everyone,
Yeah, they just spent a week or two cutting weight.
Give or take 10 to 20 pounds less than they were a week ago, right? So, in very bad shape, in very bad shape. Very cranky. Get there, it's a little late. It's supposed to be at 6 or 7 it was going to start, right? And it's like 15 minutes past. And it's like now we're finally getting ushered into the room where we're going to do the weigh-ins. And it's like they already had the cage set up so we kind of see like the venue. It's like, oh, cool, nice. Had these desks. Doctor guys like over here, let's say, and then there's like a random scale in between the two tables. So we're like, the way I'm thinking, I'm like, okay, we're gonna go get our papers here, fill them out, step on the scale, get checked by the doctor, and then go sit back down, rehydrate, and then do the mock face-offs afterwards, right? Like, reasonable promotion should do, yeah? No, so they get us all in a line to grab our papers and a pen. Then we go and fill it out. Thus have to get back into the same line to give that guy back our ID and our papers. From there, we shifted to our left to the doctor to do the physical, to get into another line to do the physical, right? Haven't weighed in yet. And then sit back down on a card that has 30 plus fights. And we still haven't weighed in yet. And this was already now, it started at 7, right? Or technically 7:15. Now it's 8:20. I still have not stepped on a scale to weigh in. And so finally some people are like, like everyone else, or not everyone else, but a few other individuals like, what's going on here? Like, I haven't weighed in. To the point where like asking the promoter, being like, yo, like, are we gonna weigh in, dude? Like, Sean, are we gonna weigh in? And he's like, yeah, after you do all this, then we're gonna do you're gonna weigh in at the mock, like to make it the official weigh-ins, the mock weigh-in, so your opponent can see what you weigh. And I'm just like, why? We just filled out my paperwork. I just saw the doctor. I can't step on the scale to get my official weight.
The doctor couldn't check your weight as he was doing the physical?
Well, rather both of them, to check the official weight after you get the physical, you just pop, or before you get the physical, you pop on the scale, then get your physical. Like, I'm sitting here like...
Is that the promotion, or that's just how things have to be done in Florida?
No, it has 100% to do with the promotion. Oh. That's what I'm pointing out. The commission sucks, but that's a more in-depth conversation. I feel like that requires more information that I don't have right now.
Yeah.
But when it comes to like the trickle-down effect, is you get shitty promoters, right? And yes, I do mean shitty, especially with this one, because I didn't win, but because of how this weigh-in was just orchestrated. And it was just like, oh, you don't give a fuck about the fighters. Because if you did, it would be, all right, these are all the fighters here in the room. Okay, let's line everyone up for the weigh-ins. Let's get your ID. So, ID, name, at 155. All right, opponent, ID, name. All right, weigh in. Check. All right, face off. All right, now go fill out your paperwork. Right? Like, how can that? Why can't they do that? Jill telling me story. She told the story multiple times to me. Jill was like, yo, wait in New York for Friday night fights. She literally coming down or up from the elevator. As the doors open, they're literally got someone there ushering you to the scale to weigh in for your official weigh-in. And then they did everything after. And you didn't see the doctor until the day of.
Oh, okay.
That's like... That's like perfect, because why would you want to, like, to me it's like a doctor seeing you when you're trying to like rehydrate and like re-nourish yourself after being like malnourished for X amount of hours. Like I feel like they're going to see some wonky stuff on those readings.
That sounds like the worst time to get a physical.
Right. So the last fight I had for Siam fights. So I guess 2 fights ago, right?
Mm-hmm. That's the next one coming up, right?
It's a June 26th, Siam fights. I don't know which camera to look at, but Daytona. If you follow this, you should go to Daytona to watch my friends fight. June 26th. It's a Sunday. I know it sucks. So yeah, those guys. Which Dom does a really good job taking care of the fighters as far as like what he can do. I mean, he's not literally giving you like abundance of here's all the water and ice in the world and gauze. But you know, when it comes to like the weigh-ins and the amount like he's putting together a show, he doesn't front load it with like a bajillion fights. Like he did it for the first one I did for him, but that was like his first show back from COVID, so I figured it was coming back in with a bang. So it was like 20 fights, I think.
This last fight was the longest fight event I've ever been to in my life.
Dude, oh my God, yes. It's like it was, and the event started at noon. So like there was stuff going on from noon until we got out of there, 10 o'clock? After 10 o'clock? I'm like, this motherfucker keeping us here past the dang UFC. I can't go watch my freaking boy Justin Gaethje get choked out.
Or watch Ferguson eat the biggest foot in his life.
Oh my God. R.I.P. R.I.P. to Tony Ferguson, right? Like how horrible was that man treated in his end of his fight career?
I feel so bad for him because he could have been a Hall of Famer.
But he's not just because he's an OG. He's an OG, and he's like actually good with this new like the modern style.
Yes, like he's evolved with the fight game. Like no disrespect to Lyoto Machida, but he never evolved with the game.
Oh no,
he was a killer in his time, but he wasn't able
Ryan
to.
Bader hasn't. Like all those guys, Rory McDonald hasn't. Yeah, like those guys haven't. And then
but Ferguson, he was able to change. He adapted. And I would never forgive never getting Ferguson and Khabib. I would never ever.
Dude, how about the fight gods? And it's like you guys can't have this.
It was like five times. We were supposed to get it, and it never happened.
It was booked 5 different times.
Yeah,
to the point where we had Khabib fight some dude named David Horcher.
Yeah,
who is that guy? Like, who is this dude who got like fed to the wolves because Tony Ferguson tripped over a wire or some shit like that, right? Like,
but then I feel so bad for him because like he's in the conversation of he should be in the conversation of the GOATs, but just his last ever since
even close.
Ever since Gaethje cracked him in that
not
one
even
fight.
Close.
Was it Gaethje or Chandler? I forget which one.
See, I would put him up there in elite, but GOATs.
Okay,
why?
Elite.
Why a GOAT? Yeah, exactly. Like why a GOAT? Like GOATs are Khabib.
Yes.
GSP. John Jones with steroids. Anderson Silva with steroids.
DC?
Yes, because no steroids.
Yes.
Natural athlete, a fat man who just tossed you on your head. That's a gem right there for a GOAT. And it triggers everyone else for the conversation because he's not your atypical looking athlete. So it's like, this guy, badass.
But with Ferguson, like he was an elite and
top 3 for the longest time. Because of his style, because of how good he was.
But just like his last 3-4 fights, they just ended so badly, man. Like I'm just.
Yeah. I mean, Oliveira was fucking stretching him out left and right.
It's also Oliveira, so.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, you had he shouldn't have lost. No offense to Oliveira, and if anyone gets triggered from watching this, he should have beat Oliveira breaks off, 100%.
But he didn't.
He got I think he got shot born. I think after that, especially after that Gaethje fight, I literally think he got shot born. Like that, just his chin.
That was a war.
No, I don't think it was.
You don't?
I think it was a beatdown. It was Gaethje committing a crime, man. Because when you saw how they hit each other and how Tony responded when he got hit versus how Gaethje responded when he got hit, there was such a night and day difference. Like Tony backed up, like in fear, turned his back and ran, like weird shit. That I guess he did some like running around spinning to M&R rule stuff before, but more unorthodox fighting style. Like this was like this man is trying to run away, like he doesn't want to fight. That's how it looked. And I'm just like, that's what made me scared for the whole situation, because I'm like, he continued fighting after that. And I'm like, that should be the juncture of you quit, like retire, save yourself.
So what do you do as a ref if you see a person who taking that level of damage, who's just who's actually running away in the middle of a fight, even though
you stop it,
even though he's Tony Ferguson?
Well, remember the scenario how Herb Dean stopped it? He was still standing.
Yeah.
He just wasn't responding. Finally, he's like, all right, mercy. Like, I'm stopping this fight. I can't see you take more damage. Because up until that point, he was still doing, I guess, enough to be like, all right, he's still in the fight. And I think it was, that fourth round he rocked Gaethje, right? So that was probably like an indicator to there being like, oh, okay. Like, I guess he can continue because he put up some offense. Yeah. But then right after that, like almost instantly after that, it was like back to the beatdown, you know? Like, so it made sense when he stopped it. But like, that for me, I think that's not the referee's job. I think that's more so your family, your team, you know, the doctor / the commission before you get into the cage or the ring. That should be stopped before that. And if it's not, then you should take that lasting example and then stop it thereafter. If you're his family, his team, the commission, like if you see something like that, I would really do a more extensive check on the medicals on Tony Ferguson if I saw that level of beatdown, or at least something. I don't know the procedures, but like, you know, like that should be, everyone should look at that as like a red flag for any fighter, not just Tony, but like if certain people are taking too much damage for X amount of consecutive fights, just be like, yo, like, is this really worth it? You know, should we really allow you to continue to fight?
How much of it is ego? Because he was known as the guy with like the iron chin,
dude, his
body.
Ego. We're fighters. It's 100% ego. That's why I mentioned. Why do you think I didn't mention him in my list of people who should stop it? You're not gonna stop yourself.
No.
As a fighter,
fighters will fight no matter the odds.
There's so many rare examples, and I think one being like Khabib, George St. Pierre, where they finally realize, all right, I don't need this anymore. What other examples are there of that in any combat sport, minus Floyd Mayweather? Like, and then how many could we really get off the top of our heads right now?
Did you see the Pacquiao's last fight? It was bad.
Yeah, well, it was bad.
He got beat bad.
Well, dude, it was bad when the fourth Marquez fight, he got flatlined. Like,
yeah.
I mean, that wasn't the stop on his career.
He went on to win a bunch of fights after that. He even dropped Keith Thurman. Hard.
And world titles, and he beat Jeremy Horn for the WBA belt?
One of the belts.
One of those bajillion boxing belts that exist. Jeez.
Yeah.
Talk about a corrupt system, of egos.
Yeah.
Of boxing organizations. I mean, literally think about it. Like, who can you really put in your mind of like people that really? Because like,
does Ronda count? After she
she got clapped. I'm saying people that
left at the top of the game.
Not just at the top, but at their best. Like, they were maybe they weren't at the top, but they left at their best. You know, like they didn't continue down that horrible path that every fighter goes down, where they become shop-worn and they're a shell of themselves.
DC left at a good time.
Yep. He's another good example. He wasn't maybe the champion, but he was at the best of his game.
I think if it wasn't for John Jones, DC would have been champ.
No, I mean literally.
Yeah.
Remember when every time John Jones was, having troubles with the law or his use of steroids, who was the champ? DC. So it makes sense. Like, he's definitely someone I would put up there, honestly, in place of John Jones for greats, because that's just my personal thing. Is I like to take out the little bit of, if you failed a drug test, bloop, goodbye.
Yeah.
So sorry for all the Anderson Silva fans too out there. Bloop, goodbye. Because that was not anxiety medication. Sorry, but
he got caught as his leg was healing though.
He got caught. It was before the Nick Diaz fight. He popped.
I thought he got popped afterwards.
He popped during it. Post-fight drug test for anxiety medications.
Oh, okay.
I'm like, sure, that's the only thing you had in your system. Okay. So I'm just like, well, whatever. Out of all people to do steroids against, Nick freaking Diaz, like, I feel like that's the last person you're gonna need an advantage on.
Yeah.
No offense, like they're freaking great fighter, right? But like he's the stereotypical stoner of the welterweight division.
Yeah, and as cool
you're Anderson freaking Silva.
and as cool as the Diaz brothers are, I wouldn't even put them in the elites.
For a time, they were.
They had the potential, but
for a time Nick was 100% an elite fighter. Mm-hmm. But that was still when you had that juncture of people still trying to tell you that, oh, the best are in the UFC only, bro. Like, if you're not in the UFC, you're not a good fighter, bro. And I'm like, okay, and then...
Tell that to all the guys in Bellator.
No, I'm saying no. Go back in time a little bit before that now.
Yeah.
Tell that to all the guys who, after UFC bought Strikeforce, and they all won the UFC belts. You know, I'm just Tyron Woodley, DC. Who else? There's a freaking other guy. There's another guy that did it. A smaller guy. So, or no, he did it technically. He came close. Gilbert Melendez. Gilbert Melendez came close, right? And then you had Luke Rockhold come through. Jacare Souza. Welterweights. You had Tarek Safadine for a little bit, who was a monster. You had the latter part of Nate Marquardt's career. You know.
Just came in and wrecked shop on the entire UFC roster.
You saw Fedor get exposed in Strikeforce. Bro, you got Dan Henderson, who just murdered him from the turtle position. Who knocks someone out from the turtle position unless you're Dan frickin' Henderson? Yeah, he's just like, oh, you're gonna get up, boom, and then you see Fedor just go lifeless on the ground. Like, oh, that's that kind of power. Okay. Yeah. That's a man who's like my size.
Yeah.
Like Dan Henderson he's no big. He might be like chunkier than me now, but there's no way that man was that like maybe dense. But man, he's 5'11", freaking would fight up weight classes because you didn't have proper weight classes back then, and would just starch dudes. And he was the first 2-division simultaneous champion, not Conor McGregor. The real first timer.
I feel like I'm getting so many good sound bites from this. Yes. Whole conversation.
Oh, I'm full with good sound bites, dude.
Yeah. Crow Cop left.
Love Crow Cop.
At a good time.
No, he kept fighting. He kept fighting. That's the opposite example of a good time. He got starched by Gabriel Gonzaga. Remember that classic, right? Mm-hmm. The head kicker gets head kicked. Yeah. And on top of it, his foot twists over. Just for like a cherry on top, and then he had such a mediocre UFC career, and then a little bit after that, he randomly wins a Risen tournament final and then retires. I think officially finally retired after that. Yeah.
Well, I mean, he was always a kickboxer, so like him hopping to the UFC was definitely a huge gap for him. I mean, not UFC, MMA.
Well, he did really well. That's the problem.
Yeah.
Like, he was a great kickboxer, and he transitioned well as a heavyweight. So it wasn't like he had, and I think he has a couple good submission wins in his career.
Oh, really? Actually, I didn't know.
I would check on that, but he was known for also having not the worst, but a pretty all right ground game for a heavyweight. Mm-hmm. So it wasn't like he was only all right, this guy's just a kickboxer. He's got no wrestling. And I think most of the times he got finished, he was like cleaned. Like I think he got put out by the people. Gabriel Gonzaga did. I think Brandon Schaub knocked him out too.
I don't know.
Or Brandon Schaub got knocked out by Crow. One of the situations. I would more so rely on. I think Brandon Schaub got knocked out by Crow Cop because that man has no chin.
And Crow Cop has the strongest shins in the world.
And is not funny. And has no comedy career.
Wait, is that a thing?
What? Brandon Schaub?
Yeah.
Being that he was handed his audience from Joe Rogan and that he's not funny and he steals jokes just like Carlos Mencia.
Okay.
I'm just repeating. Dude, there's a random video I watched of a guy who just broke down Brandon Schaub's career like that, and to a point where Schaub had to get pulled down by YouTube, and he's suing this guy. Yeah. Look, if you want a rabbit hole to go down that rabbit hole on YouTube.
Brandon Schaub's career?
Yeah, I forget the official, because the YouTube page got taken down too of the guy. It was Ben Beige or Beige Frequency, I believe was the actual name of his channel before he was putting up all these videos of these. It was pretty much covering fighters' careers over time, what happened, the downward spirals or the ending of their careers. So, but the one on Brandon Schaub is just a gem because he just goes in on how little this guy did for his own career. And to the point, like I said, where he got to take him down. He came after the guy legally. And you can find it on some other random channels. He put it up on some other unknown channels now because he's got no name. So it's, I guess, better for videos like that because he can't really find it.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it's a good rabbit hole to go down if you want one. Highly recommend it if you have, an hour to spare. It's no more than an hour of information.
I'll be watching that tonight as I edit these pictures and stuff.
You get a few laughs out of it, and he's doing a doodle of Brandon Schaub's face on Toon Boom or Blender or something. I think it's Blender he's using to draw up on a. Yeah, he literally just does a self-portrait of his face, and he does it for all the ones that he's done. But definitely a gem. I need to remember the guy's actual name because he drops it in one of the videos. But yeah, rabbit hole.
Gotcha.
recommend.
All right. So what's next for Joey?
For me?
Yes.
That's a very good question. That's one I might want to divert to my lovely set of coaches that aren't here right now. Dato and Jill. So I guess, I don't know. Ideally, I do want to fight as soon as possible again. I have a really bad itch.
Makes sense. You're a fighter.
Yeah, and what comes with that is the itch to fight and how it affects your mental game. And you're just like, it kind of sets you at peace in a positive light when you compete in there. At least it does for me. You know, I get 100% euphoria rush from it. You know, you feel like, you know, like the cliche people say about when they're in the moment of whatever passionate part of their life they're in, and it's like they really feel like nothing else matters.
They're in a flow state.
Well, I would say even more specific than the flow state. You get into that flow state and you're in that juncture where like nothing else matters at this point. You know, like when two people like really have like an intimate relation with each other, like for the first time, you know, in that juncture where you're like making the move with this person for like the first kiss, and like you're at that, like there could be someone having a conversation like 2.5 feet next to you. They don't freaking matter. They don't exist at this moment in time. And that's kind of how the fight feels, you know, for me, is like at this juncture, everything that I've done up to this point, everything that's bothering me on the outside in my personal life or whatever, whether it's, you know, legal crap or whether it's like, you know, someone broke up with me, which thank God I haven't had to deal with that in a while. I highly recommend the single life. Avoid your heartbreak, you know. But you get into that ring, all of that outside stuff just disappears for the time frame that I'm in there. And I'm able to just hone in on everything that I've been working on for my craft, and I get to really express myself in the best way that I feel possible, in the most comfortable way that I feel possible. And that's in said ring or cage, because I fought in cages now a few times, but the arena doesn't necessarily matter. But when I get into that arena, it's like it becomes like that becomes like, I guess, that moment in time the only thing that is important to me. And very seldomly the only things I'll really hear in my head is Dato's voice telling me what to do next or what he sees, and Jill telling me to breathe. So those are the only two things that get into that headspace. Other than that, everything else is pretty much gone, and I wouldn't have it any other way, because I feel like if I wasn't in this position to where I could compete like that and find this like area where I feel, you know, at peace the most, I would be going stir crazy. You know, if I was in some other random BS job, right, or at a desk, right, for 9 to 5 days a week, or if I was doing construction, or if I was doing freaking doctor work, lawyer work, any of that, literally any of that other stuff does not sound appetizing to me at all, or peaceful, or like where my heart should be. But when I step into the ring, and those 6 minutes, those 10 minutes, nothing else matters, and I am at peace with whatever happens. So I really just want something, I you know, chasing that again, right? So I want to fight again as soon as possible. I obviously can't take a fight next week because that's not viable. I need to get into a camp. I need to get in even better shape than I was in my last fight. But, you know, I just constantly want to experience that peace, you know? Because if I'm not, I have a bajillion things running in my head, driving me crazy, you know? Not in a depressing way, just like, you know, thinking about a lot. You know, like, I got to do this, I got to do that. Oh, if I'm not here at this time, then I'm late, and this crap happens. Or if I didn't do this for my mom, she's gonna be upset at me, or this, that, the other. Or, you know, I got to help my brother out with something. Like, so many other crap is going on, and it's just like, you know, it's the one thing that definitely just shuts it all off for me for the time frame. Like when I'm at the gym, right? I am at my happiest there. Like nothing else outside of there in my personal life matters when I'm in that gym, because everyone there makes me feel at peace. You know, everyone there makes me feel happy. And seeing people, it doesn't have to be me working out, but seeing people work out, it's like just being in that environment makes me happy. So that's why I constantly like have been getting even more of an itch to chase these fights, because I feel that peak when I'm competing, that peak happiness, right? That's when I feel that when I'm competing for sure. But to transition as far as when I'll be fighting next, I guess that's how I'll answer that question. Fingers are crossed for July or August. Dato's been teasing me in New York. I want to fight in New York, dude. I don't want to live in New York. It's a horrible state to live in. But I would love to fight in New York. Are you kidding me? It's like a gem. That's like one of the fight capitals of the world.
What's the difference?
One, the commissions are way better
than
how they take care of, and the promotions to actually take care of the fighters, right? And I just think, they just run better competitive Thai fights out of areas like New York. It's one of the negatives, I think, of being in Florida is not necessarily the talent. I wouldn't argue we don't have the skill or the talent. We're a hotbed for mixed martial arts in this state. I would just argue that we just don't have the years of promoters promoting Muay Thai as they do up in New York, like they do with Friday Night Fights or Three Pillars Promotions, which does Warriors Cup.
Well, we don't have a Vegas or a Madison Square Garden or T-Mobile Arena.
Well, I wouldn't even say the venues. It doesn't have to be the venues. It's that we don't have the tenured promoters that are, one, again, taking care of the fighters and also continuing to promote the actual sport itself, regardless of if you're making a buck off of it or not, because most of them aren't, especially if it's a full amateur promotion, full amateur event. They're probably making no money off of that. They're probably losing money, but they're just doing it because it's supposed to be for the fighters. The event shouldn't be, I need to make a quick buck. If you're a promoter putting on an event, especially an amateur one, the whole premise should be, all right, we're propping up these amateur fighters to hopefully they get someone to look at them. That should always be the goal of an amateur event, not, all right, how do I market myself? Like, what? Are you kidding me? There's this one guy in Clearwater it's Ali Fight Nights. Just to give you an idea, his name is in the promotion name, Ali Fight Nights. And all his fight
that's just tacky.
Tacky as hell. And all the fight posters are of him.
Wait, what?
Yes. Not even of like the list of fighters. It's literally an old picture of him back when he would compete, or him holding one of his random irrelevant belts, and then it says like AFN 40 something, and then it has the venue and then the freaking price, like that, right? I'm like, what is this, like a freaking ego trip? Like, dude, like you that like sad about missing your fight career that you have to, like, for your amateur events that put on, it's supposed to be a show to put on the techniques of your amateur fighters and the amateur fighters in the scene, right? But you're slapping your face on that poster and being like, nah, this is my fight card, bro.
So does that include Eagle Fight Club? Fight championships?
Oh, that's a good question. That's his nickname. But it's professional promotion, so he pays his fighters. So again, I feel like my argument, as you can tell, is more so for those amateur promoters. As you can see, I think I'm stressing more so the fact that I don't get how you get egos as an amateur promoter, because you're making nothing off of these events, and it's like no one's looking at this. Like the UFC doesn't see this, right? I
don't think UFC even knows that these little guys exist.
They don't even care if you exist. You're not, especially now that
Dana's got bigger problems.
Especially now, the fact after they got bought out by WME IMG, like they are literally sitting on a freaking mound of money, of infinite money, from a talent agency. Like, so they don't, like, that's why I love the, the controversial topic that's going on right now, which is fighter pay, right? I genuinely enjoy that topic because technically, the UFC doesn't care. They're just getting boatloads of money on the back end. They don't care about how popular the sport is or is not getting, because they're set.
The UFC doesn't care, or Dana White doesn't care?
I would say, the UFC, because the guys who owned it prior to that, they sold it and wiped their hands and left. The Fertitta brothers were like, okay, whatever. So I think 100%, neither of them, no one at the top level cares about the fighters.
Including Dana?
Including Dana.
Oh.
100% Dana White does not care about the fighters. He'll pick and choose. He has favorites, 100%.
Well, he takes care of the ones that can make him money.
Exactly. He has favorites.
Yeah.
His favorites aren't like his best friends. They're the ones that are increasing his bottom line. So if you're increasing his bottom line, guess what? You have a billionaire. Is he a billionaire?
No, he's not.
Millionaire friend.
His net worth is, his estimated net worth is capped at like $250.
That's it.
Yeah.
Bro, Floyd's got a beat.
Okay, well.
Talk about that one. Like you're technically still holding that man's bags, right? Oh, I love when he said that at the McGregor, Mayweather press conferences where he just dropped on. You used to hold my bags. I'm like, no one knew about that until now. I genuinely don't think he cares about fighters. He did. I'll say he did at a juncture in his life. He definitely had a heart, but money, dude. Money and power corrupt absolutely, no matter who you are. So you get enough of that, your heart goes away. Maybe there's outliers. Of course, there's outliers in every situation, but you saw the transition, man. He cared. Remember when he used to do those scrums? He stopped doing those how many years ago? Like regularly? He stopped caring about doing those scrums. And he used to just let out the kitchen sink on those scrums, but he didn't care who he was talking about. He just let you know his opinion. Yeah. And then he had to quiet down because he got bought out by a bigger company who controls his voice now.
So it's that company that doesn't care about.
Oh, and Dana White too. And Dana White too.
Okay.
And Dana White does not care either. Yeah. If he did, he wouldn't be. If he cared, he would be honest about how the wealth is distributed amongst the fighters. But he's not. We had to find out that information because of legal documents, right? So when you're not honest at some junctures, I do think that plays into whether you can say that person actually cares or not. If you're a little bit dishonest at any point, especially as a promoter, I would then disregard like any concept of you saying you care about said fighters.
Did you know like a Korean Zombie only got paid like $250,000 when he fought Volkanovski like 2 months ago? Like this is before like sponsors and bonuses, but like
what sponsors?
I don't
what do you mean? They don't. What sponsors, bro? They don't allow you to bring in sponsors anymore. Remember?
Well, like Reebok and stuff.
So the only sponsors that you're allowed, which pay out a specific amount according to the fights that you
the contract.
have.
Yeah.
Which is the contract is written in and signed by the UFC, not the fighters. Right. So it's like he got $250K.
Yeah.
In less championship fight, less than $250K for a championship fight.
For mainlining an event.
For mainlining an event.
Yeah,
it was a title fight, and it wasn't like
him and Volkanovski.
And it wasn't like a boring event. Like, it's a big title fight.
This was the same one that Khamzat fought Gilbert Burns on.
Yeah,
yeah,
dude. And do we know the pay-per-view numbers on that?
We do. Yeah.
What was it?
I don't know them off the top of my head, but I made a video on it.
Oh.
Yeah.
Fuck. Yeah. See, if you taken especially the pay-per-view numbers on it, and if they at least did like a decent number, why is this man getting paid only $250,000?
Well, that was his guaranteed purse before taxes and everything.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. So let's in theory think he probably walked away with half of that.
Yeah.
In his pocket.
Well, the first thing that happens is taxes, so there goes 40%.
That's what I'm saying. Take out taxes, take out the gym fees, take out
coaches.
Yeah, that's on gym fees. Just put it all under gym fees, and take
travel
out
fees.
Well, let's hope that the UFC pays for their flight and board for at least. I think they do at least one coach, and then the fighter, of course, and they book the hotel. So that's all UFC, which I guess is a cool thing. But food, right? I'm hoping he has at least one meal prep company that gives him stuff, but he still has to pay for all the food outside of that. The recovery, right? There's no way you're just getting free chiropractic appointments. So you have to do that. Massages, you have to do that. The ice for your ice baths. Like, I cannot imagine he walked out of that with maybe $100K.
I would say probably like 80.
Yeah, I was gonna say like under $100K. He probably walked away in his pocket, which to the average person is like, oh, hell, yeah, you just made my salary in one fight. Like, or you made more than my salary in one fight. But it's like, it's not a lot of money for a main eventer, for a title fight,
especially with a guy with his career and his history.
Career history of being not just a fighter's fighter, but a crowd pleaser.
Yeah,
a guaranteed crowd pleaser, and they could only muster to write off a $250K check to him. That's where I get, and again, not knowing the specifics of all the numbers, but that's where it gets to me, where I'm just like, okay, you physically couldn't have given this man another $250K.
I've crunched numbers on a couple events, and as far as I can tell, and this is excluding like things that happen outside of the event. So like basically what the event pulled and what each fighter got paid for the event. The UFC makes about 25 to 30% of total numbers. So like if an event made 100 mil, UFC keeps about 20 to 30 mil of that. The rest goes to paying staff and fighters and everyone else.
The venue and blah, blah, and all that stuff.
And marketing and everything. So that's, as far as I can tell, I don't know if my numbers are correct or not, but from what I can tell, that's pretty much how it breaks down. So like when Conor fights and there's 10 million pay-per-views versus when Francis Ngannou fought, that was 800,000 pay-per-views versus when Conor fights is 10 million. Like the numbers are going to be tremendously different. And just like from understanding business, is like you pay according to what your product can produce, and in UFC the product is the fights and the ability to sell fights. So if you're like, it's sad to say, like as a fighter, if you don't know how to sell a fight, like which is why Mayweather was an amazing marketer. He knew how to sell a fight.
Dude, what do you mean amazing marketer? Amazing businessman, because he literally flipped the bird to Bob Arum and said, "I'm gonna start my own."
Bob fucking Arum.
He said, "Oh, you can't." He's like, "No, I'm worth this." He's like, "No, you're not." He's like, "Yeah, I am worth this." And then he not only said "F you," but then proved it.
Yeah.
And beat one of his fighters.
and got paid like 100 mil for it.
Well, he got paid the transition. I forget what year, whenever he made that transition from essentially, because it was from Pretty Boy Floyd to
Money Mayweather.
Money Mayweather. That was like, as you can kind of take as the transition of his nicknames.
Yeah. And that's when his style changed too. That's when he got more defensive.
Exactly. He started transitioning. You saw the most aggressive he was thereafter. That was probably the Victor Ortiz fight, and that was pretty much it. And then he was way more passive of a fighter, way more defensive of a fighter.
After he KO'd Victor Ortiz. Was it a KO or was it a sucker punch?
It was a KO. The ref backed away.
Oh yeah.
And if you, as a fighter, you know
you're not protecting yourself.
You know, if as soon as the ref breaks off, the fight is on.
Yeah.
It has you don't look at the fucking timer. You don't look at the judges on the side. If the guy in the ring with you, as soon as he steps away, fight's on. So Floyd was super smart in doing that. That was a genius move on his part.
Oh, I agree with him 100%. I don't know a single fighter that disagrees with that.
I don't think any fighter ever disagrees with that. I think it's usually you get the disagreements from people on the outside of it, like, and I'm like, no. But one, he headbutted him before this.
Yeah.
And then two, right after that, he's like, yeah,
he tried to hug him.
And then he's like, what do you mean, bro? And Floyd's like, no. And then now you see that the ref backs away, and then Floyd's like,
1, 2.
He like flares the fucking jab out like a frame, and then just
dude, he hit him so hard the sweat exploded off his face.
That was such a good shot, man. That was such a good moment in boxing. I love that moment. I don't care what anyone says about like Floyd's demeanor and being like acting like a thug and stuff. So he's being a smart fighter there.
Again, like if you like back to like the topic, like he was marketing himself.
Well, that's when you saw the transition of like a boxer who is like, I think I want to make 100% on myself, and then be the one who pays out. Mm-hmm. And then you look what happened, right? He became the LLC.
Yeah, and now there's Mayweather boxing gyms all over the freaking nation.
Dude, there's how many here in Tampa / St. Pete? Like, there's several that I pass on my way from where I live in Seminole to the gym in downtown Tampa. It's like I'm like, oh. Yeah, this is the natural transition of things. Like, he is perfect at selling his brand and marketing himself, and he got in that position at the perfect time.
Yeah, and I think that like most UFC fighters, most MMA fighters, well, most fighters in general, they don't know how to do that, which is why like they don't get,
because they're like, me fighter, me good, me win championship.
Yeah,
F you. That's every MMA fighter's logic in the UFC. I'm just like, or you guys can get together, create a union, and fight for yourselves.
Yeah, they don't think like that though.
No, they don't.
Yeah.
And that's why you'll probably never see the Ali Act translate over to MMA. Because an MMA, for whatever reason, I don't get this part, but an pro MMA fighter's ego is just that much different than most other fighters that I've ever like been around. And especially at that level, at the UFC, because I don't want to I don't want to branch into like regional fighters. They're probably definitely way more humble, because at that level you're literally fighting for the food on your table. I would say once you get to that top elite level, specifically in the UFC, for whatever reason, these guys are just so like, it's me versus them mentality, that they don't realize that all they have to do is just for half a second, like, you know, all Kamaru Usman and Colby Covington have to do is just shake each other's hand saying, okay, we're going to unionize. And then you can hate each other after that. Yep. But you just have to do that for just a few minutes in time, just to be like, okay, let's get a union together. Let's get a proper group of lawyers to fight for us.
Let's get Colby and Masvidal to sit down next to each other.
Yeah, to say, hey, we're going to start a union. And I'm not saying that moment will do it, but like you need, again, all the fighters in every division to be like, yeah, we're going to do this. Instead of thinking like, because they're all in that mindset of, I need to get to the top to make my winnings. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, or you can unionize. Or you can unionize and actually love what you're doing versus just like, oh, I need, like, in order for me to make money in the fight game, I have to beat the world champion. I have to be the best there is, the best there ever was. I was like, no, I feel like, again, that goes into my logic of like that if you're in the fight game for that purpose, then you should get out because it's not about money. Mm-hmm. If it is, then you best pray to God that you have the skill set as Conor McGregor or John Jones, right? Like you can actually get to that top level. But if you're not, you're like the rest of us who are, you know, in the big pool of no one's making any money.
No, we pay money to a gym to get our brains beaten. We don't get paid to do that.
Even regional professional fighters, they're not. Yeah, they sign off on fight checks, but they're making nothing.
No, I think last I checked on that, the average regional fighter gets about $12K a year. At the very end, that's like the highest level.
I was gonna say that's
the highest
top
level.
That sounds like the high end. Like you're getting guys that make like a few $100s a fight.
Yeah.
And then you take that to like you know, our scene, Muay Thai.
What do you think Asa Tempao gets paid?
Well, I don't know. Like, yeah, like I mean, what's his name? Vince McGinnis. Man, when he was fighting, he used to train at Tampa Muay Thai, and he fought at Glory, right?
Oh wow.
Glory was only trying to pay him a stack, just for a fight, $1K. Dude, like. What is that? You know, like I'm saying, like people don't understand like the like how much of this isn't about the money. Mm-hmm. And yeah, there might be a pot of gold at the end of your fight career, you know, fingers crossed, or if you're that kind of person. But
you got to be a 1% fighter, though.
I would say you should not bank on that. You should be like many of the individuals that I know, where you have a actual job, right? You have a good source of income where this is your hobby, or you have the situation like me, where you have to literally immerse yourself in this to where you're practically living at the gym. I've been given that joke, I don't know, a dozen times over now at Tampa Muay Thai.
I've never been at the gym where you weren't there.
Yeah, people think and I don't actually live there, Rex. I know, you might think I do, but I literally don't. I don't have a bed upstairs.
I feel like every time I drive away at the end of the night, you just do like a 2 blocks around.
No, I promise I don't just come back and like, no, I don't let myself into the gym. None of that happens. I actually live at home. Trust me. You can ask my mom, okay? But yeah, like that's the other, I would say, the other alternative situation, right? Where it's like, this is my job. Mm-hmm. Not fighting, but training people, right? Like fighting's a part of it.
Martial arts is the job.
Martial arts is my career, and it's the one that I've wanted, and I had to do certain things I had to make a lot of sacrifices to get to this point, right? I had to, you know, sacrifice X amount of my social life at certain junctures to make sure that I wasn't, you know, messed up in the head going into a morning training session or morning where I had to teach a class. So, you know, you had to, and, you know, having to be like, oh, I'm injured, but I still have to like work around it because, you know, I'm teaching this person. This is one of my privates. I'm getting commission off of this. I have to, regardless of how hard they hit or how, you know, tight my hip is, I still got to hold pads for them. You know, that's me making my living. So I have to making physical sacrifices while I do this, but I don't hate it at all. You know, I am thoroughly enjoying every step of the way. But I think those are the two situations you find yourself in if you do this. It's like, to continue it, you have to have something to supply it, right? Or to supplement it, some source of income. Or get to a point to where you make the teaching, right? Or owning a gym part of your income, right? Mm-hmm. So you have to literally immerse yourself in it, or you have something on the back end that's your actual career that's helping your hobby. Mm-hmm. But like, I don't know if this is the difference between you and I, or maybe some other people at the gym, but this isn't just my hobby, you know? This is my life. This has been my life since I was 16, 17, and I made that commitment of like, I am obsessed with this. I love this shit. I am not letting it leave my life, no matter if, ands, or buts. Like, if there's something that will stay with me no matter where I'm at in this world, it's that I'm doing Muay Thai.
That's fucking beautiful, dude. Yeah. Well, this was a hell of a lot.
That's a perfect way to end it.
Pretty
Nice.
much. This was a hell of a lot of fun. And
Yeah.
Thank you for coming on. Again, you're my first repeat guest.
Woo! Let's do it. Let's keep doing it.
All right, man. Absolutely, man. We'll bring you on in a couple more months, and we'll do this again, and we could trash Dana White again.
Oh, anyone. I'll trash anyone. Also, get me a fight with Nate Diaz.
All right, folks. You heard it here first, folks.
I want to box Nate Diaz just for the fun of it. He came out my gym once.
Yeah.
He's cool.
And that's how we're gonna end it.